This conference will now be recorded.
Hi, this is Curry Gill with Oregon Parks and Recreation Department. The tutorial I have for you today is for submitting a reimbursement request for an active grant project in the OPRD Grants Online system. When you are submitting your progress report and reimbursement request, in order to do a reimbursement request, you have to first submit a progress report, and those instructions are in a different tutorial, which you can find along with others at oregonheritage.org and go to the grants section. This one today is specific to the reimbursement request, although please know you have to submit a progress report before the system will allow you to submit a reimbursement request. So I've logged into the system. This is a test system for us, so you won't see the test information on yours. You pick the organization you're associated with, and then you will see the applications, projects, and people associated with that organization. The applications are just that, your applications. So you want to, if you have an active grant with an agreement that you're requesting reimbursement for, you will go to projects to find that. And you will have your list of projects and some information about those. And we're going to use this as our test today. And you will see, this is what you see when you arrive there. And you can see that I have completed a progress report. And so now I want to complete a reimbursement request, and that falls under project funding. So this is the sort of summary of project funding, and there haven't been any reimbursement requests so far. So I'm going to do one. Anytime I want to enter any information into the online grant system, clicking edit in the right corner is what you do. And then a button appears that says new reimbursement request. So you click this button. And now we have an edit up here again. So click edit. And then this is the reimbursement period. It's in most of the grant programs, although double check your guidelines, you're reporting for a period of time. So if you had an earlier report, if you reported in the first quarter of your grant, then you're now reporting the second quarter of the grant, and you don't talk about any of the expenses that you have already submitted to us. So we're going to make this grant period November 1 to today. And these are required fields, so make sure that you enter those. If it's the last reimbursement, all the reimbursements, interim and final, are created the same way, but if it's your final, you just check the box here that it's the final, and that lets us know to close out this when it's complete. Now these fields autofill based on the line items that you entered here. And again, you'll want to check with your grant coordinator on how they want you to do this. Some of them will allow you to combine all the contractor costs into one category, into one line item entry, but some want you to break it out and enter each one. So if you're going to enter a line item here, you pick your expense category. And so let's say this is contractor, and you can enter the vendor here, Smith Construction, or whatever the name of the company or person is, and then what it's for, concrete installation, because this was a park project. And then let's say the amount was for $50,000. If part of this is being paid for with other funding, say I got another grant that's going to pay for half of this amount, then I would include that here. And if it's half, that's 25. And you add this. So now we have a project cost of $50,000, Of that, $25,000 is matched, so we're requesting $25,000 reimbursement at this point. Okay, so then let's say we have some volunteer time to enter here because volunteers worked on landscaping. So we have value of donated labor, materials, equipment, and we'll say it's the Boy Scouts or Friends group. Okay, and you would name the actual organization or just organizational volunteers might be what it is. And you'll need to check your grant guidelines for the approved rate for volunteer time, but let's say it was, for round numbers, $2,000. Oh, I'm sorry, they did landscaping. And they did a lot of work, so we'll say it's $2,000. And this does include match because we can't reimburse you for volunteer time. So the same amount, and you add that item, and then you'll see the cost of $2,000, because if they didn't do it for you, you'd be paying somebody, and the match amount of $2,000, because the whole thing is match, and that's not part of the request. And so we have a total project cost of $52,000, a match amount of $27,000, and a requested amount of $25,000. So we don't, in our financial reimbursement request, ask you to tell us the source of match other than that checkbox. So that is how, if a grant was paying for a portion of it, that's how we would have maybe paid the cost of that $25,000 match amount here. You don't have to tell us that. You can tell us, and it's nice to know. And so that would be submitted in the attachments. Now, some of the, again, look at your guidelines, but let's say we had a lot of materials costs, like we were doing the work, and so we had to buy nails and screws and you know, lining for the landscaping and dirt for the landscaping and that kind of thing. So then we might choose materials and supplies, and it could be from multiple vendors. Hardware and landscape materials. And we'll say that was $1,000. And we're gonna say we want the grant to pay for all of that. So we're gonna just add that item. Now, in my grant programs, and again, you'll have to look at your guidelines as to how this is okay to submit. If you have costs under $5,000, then you would submit a line item list somehow and attach that to describe what this cost is. But that way you don't have to enter every $30, $40, $20 receipt that you have into these line items. You can group them together and then submit the attachments here. So you won't be able to attach anything until you save at least once. And then you'll need to click edit again. And then you have an upload files. You can add comments here to explain anything you want to explain. These are not required, but you click add comment. Volunteers were wonderful, contributed, I don't know, and then add comment. Okay, and then that appears here. So the last thing then to do is upload the files, and again, check your grant guidelines to figure out what's required here. You click upload files, and you see there's a notice about that, make sure you save. You use browse to get into your computer, and to desktop. And open that. And then you pick the category. This helps us when we're comparing. So ideally, we would have you do contract, and then you might do Smith construction invoice, add file. And then you'll see it there, but I need to save to prove that it's uploaded. Save. So then you have this. We need at least one attachment before you can submit, but you need to submit invoices, tracking, if there are contracts that they're following. What we need to see is proof of the cost, so we need evidence of what they did. So if you get something from a contractor that says February costs or February work in an amount, you should have them spell out on that invoice what part of the work was completed. We'll want to see that because this is documentation that they did the work and at what rate. Please do not ever submit canceled checks or any documentation that provides bank or credit card account information on it. Please do not submit those. We will send that back to you to be removed from the system. Once you have all of your items added and you have all of what you want to submit here done, then you click submit. And then you get this notification. And then you'll see that the request was submitted and who submitted it and when it was submitted and the amount you're requesting. And then right now, until it's approved, it says not accepted. And your grant coordinator will reach out to you if they need additional information. Again, if you want more tutorials on the system, either for navigating it, for the application, or for reporting or reimbursement information, go to OregonHeritage.org and click on grants, and you will find more tutorials there. Thanks.